The following is presented as a supplement to the Bell Gossett Series VSX centrifugal pumps instruction manual. Open the drain valves and casing vents as required. Remove 3 shields from the bearing bracket by squeezing the flexible shield until the tabs are clear for easy removal. Remove 4 cap screws from the bearing cap. Loosen the 4 bearing bracket cap screws, leaving them engaged a few threads to keep the bracket from rotating while completing the next step. Remove the bearing bracket using jacking screws to free it from the bearing. Note how the jacking screw is pushing against a rib in the cover plate. Not completely removing the bracket cap screws from the previous step prevents bracket rotation and keeps the jacking screws on the rib. Pry bars may also be used. After the bracket is freed from the bearing, completely remove the bearing bracket screws. Then remove the bearing bracket the rest of the way. Wipe away the bearing grease to expose the bearing, lock nut, and lock washer. Bend back the lock washer tab and remove the lock nut and lock washer. Remove the bearing with pullers. A universal fixture kit may also be used. The universal fixture kit should not be used on pumps with 2-inch frames, as the bearing backup ring may damage the bearing cap's lip seal. For 2-inch frames only, remove the bearing backup ring. Remove the bearing cap from the shaft and then remove the slinger. Repeat steps 1 through 9 to remove the bearing frame on the other side. When finished, proceed to the appropriate disassembly procedure depending on the type of seal in your pump. Remove the lip seal from the bearing cap. When servicing the inboard side of the pump, also remove the lip seal from the inboard bearing bracket. Disassembly procedure to remove standard mechanical seals. Loosen the set screws in the sleeve. It is recommended to loosen the 4 gland assembly cap screws and back them out about 1/2 inch. This will make it easier to close the pump back up in the unlikely event that the pump has not been completely isolated from the system. Pull the gland assembly and sleeve away from the cover plate, breaking the gasket seal. The use of a bearing puller attached to the step in the sleeve may be required. After confirming the pump is truly isolated from the system, remove the 4 gland cap screws and complete the removal process. Remove the gland gasket. While pushing down on the mechanical seal head, remove the retaining ring from the shaft sleeve groove. Remove the mechanical seal head from the sleeve assembly. Lubricating the sleeve and seal elastomer with soapy water may ease removal of the seal head. If necessary, pry bars may also be used to aid in the removal process. Remove the gland assembly from the shaft sleeve. Remove the stationary mechanical seal seat from the gland bore. It can be pushed out from the back side of the gland. Make sure you remove the O-ring too. Remove the quad ring from the shaft. Wear gloves or use a rag to pinch the ring out of the shaft groove. Repeat steps 1 through 9 for the other side. Assembly procedure to install standard mechanical seal. Prior to reassembly of the mechanical seal, it is important to clean and polish all secondary sealing surfaces. Here we are cleaning out seal gland bore, where the stationary seal seat is installed. Remove all the residual sediment and polish the face and bore surfaces with an emery cloth. Use a clean cloth to remove any remaining grit and debris. Here we are cleaning the outside surfaces of the shaft sleeve where the mechanical seal head assembly is installed. Polish the outside and inside surfaces with an emery cloth and use a clean cloth to remove any remaining grit and debris. Make sure your hands are clean before handling any of the mechanical seal components. Remove the mechanical seal components from the box and inspect them. To ease assembly of the seal seat, lightly lubricate the gland bore with P80 rubber lubricant emulsion, soapy water, or some equivalent. Press the stationary mechanical seal seat onto the gland bore. Please note, handle the seals with care. Take care not to damage the seals during assembly. Lightly lubricate the shaft sleeve with P80 rubber lubricant emulsion, soapy water, or equivalent. Also lubricate the elastomer surfaces on the inside of the seal head assembly. Slide the gland assembly over the shaft sleeve. Slide the mechanical seal head onto the shaft sleeve. Make sure the primary seal face is facing down toward the seal seat. While pushing down on the mechanical seal head, install the retaining ring onto the shaft sleeve groove. Flip the gland, seal, and seal assembly over to the other side and rest it on the face of the shaft sleeve. Apply moderate pressure to the gland to make sure the seal head assembly is firmly against the retaining ring. Make sure the shaft groove is clean and free of any debris that may allow leakage past the quad ring. Lightly lubricate the quad ring with P80 rubber lubricant emulsion, soapy water, or some equivalent and install it into the groove on the shaft. Apply anti-seize compound only to the area of the shaft that will be under the sleeve. Place the gland gasket onto the gland. Grease may be used to hold the gasket in place. Slide the complete assembly over the shaft until the sleeve bottoms out onto the shaft shoulder. Install the 4 gland assembly cap screws and tighten them to the torque specifications listed in Table 6, found at the end of the IOM. Install the set screws in the sleeve and tighten to 50 inch-pounds. Install the slinger. Repeat steps 1 through 9 to install the seal on the other side. Assembly procedure to install bearing frames for all pumps. Lubricate the bearing cap bore and lip seal with Exxon Polyrex EM grease to ease installation of the lip seal. Install the lip seal into the bearing cap bore. The lip seal should sit against the bottom of the machined bore. The lip seal should face away from the bearing cavity. Lubricate the lip seal with Exxon Polyrex EM grease to ease installation of the bearing cap onto the shaft. Install the bearing cap onto the shaft. For 2-inch frame pumps only, install a bearing backup ring onto the shaft. Heat the bearing using an induction heater. Using gloves, slide the heated bearing onto the shaft against the shaft shoulder. For 2-inch frame pumps, slide the heated bearing onto the shaft against the backup ring. Please note, the bearings are single shielded and the shield should face inward toward the impeller. Install a lock washer and lock nut onto the shaft. Tighten using a spanner wrench or hammer and punch. Be sure the lock nut is secured and then bend over the tabs on the lock washer. Remove all residual old grease. Coat the inside of the bearing bracket bore with grease and slide it into place over the bearing. Install 4 cap screws to secure the bracket to the cover plate. Fasten the bearing cap to the bearing bracket with 4 cap screws. Using grease fitting at the bottom of the bracket, fill the bearing cavity until grease is seen coming out from the lip seals. Please note to only use Exxon Polyrex EM grease. Repeat steps 1 through 9 to assemble the other bearing frame. Note, only the inboard bearing bracket has a lip seal. General assembly instructions. Install the flesh kit and, if required, reinstall the drain plugs and close the drain valve. Install and align the coupling, following the instructions in the coupling alignment section. Install the coupling guard and bracket guards. See the guards section. Open the isolation valves and check the pumps for leaks. If no leaks are present, return the pump to service.